All right, so this should be working now. There we go. I gotta update all of the links and everywhere that have gone out because apparently this is a technical nightmare some days. Yes, I know. If you have any questions, feel free to throw them in the live chat. I'll answer them as I can. I'm going to re-email the link back out since it's going to be a new link for the actual stream. All right, now I just got to post to Instagram and hope that it works this week. All right, so what I got to remember in future is to not start the video on the iPhone until I actually have the video on the MacBook going, because what's happening is the iPhone is actually taking over the video. So that's really annoying. I still have to figure out a way to do a dual camera, but I'll figure it out. Sir, you are in the way again. You've got a bed right here. I feel like it's not as comfy as the fabric, huh? Okay. Well, there. Stay there. All right, I need my counts for Paula again. I know they were here somewhere. Actually, if I don't, I can work them from here since I have my laptop right here. Welcome to anyone joining. Sorry, had a little bit of technical difficulty, so we are under a different link right now. But we're getting sorted out. I'm cutting interfacing for bags this week, as well as I'll probably actually, I should work on interiors as well. And we're working on a big wholesale order for Paula of bananas. And sorry, I laugh at that every time because all I can ever think when I say it that way is the genie in Aladdin. So that's where my headspace is at right now. Gotta have some fun. But I was just realizing I need to actually write down Paula's numbers again because I need to cut all the interfacing for it. And I thought I had the order sheet here, but I don't. So I need to get a tally sheet going. Yeah, and I don't even have really a lot of paper here to do that with. So give me one moment. There, that's right here. So if I get through all the interfacing and lining for her order, then I will actually go through and also do the lining and interfacing for bags. So right now I am in the throes of prepping for Knit City, which is in Vancouver in September. That's my biggest show of the year. Right, triangle pouches end up with the fusible interfacing. So the Kato is a fusible, triangle is fusible, and the large box bag is non-fusible right now. I'm actually going to swap that once I run out of this roll of non-fusible interfacing. Anyway, right now I am prepping for 3 different shows for sure. I just got confirmation that there will be a pop-up with Ancient Arts Yarns in Calgary on July 15th. For the day, there'll be actually a pancake breakfast since it's the second week of Stampede, which is if you're not in Calgary and not familiar with Calgary Stampede, it's like the big state fair / rodeo with chuck wagon races. It's actually my favorite event of the year, hands down, every year. So I'm prepping for that. And then I'm going to be, I haven't got my application in yet, but I just got invited to Omatsuri, which is a Japanese goods festival and like demonstrations festival in August on August 13th. That will be at the Max Bell Center in Calgary. And then I am prepping for Knit City Vancouver, which is at this point my biggest show of the year. And that is held in Vancouver. It'll be September 22nd to 24th is the main event. The market is September 23rd and 24th. And I have 20-foot booth, and I do not have enough bags to fill that 20-foot booth. So that's what we're working on right now around everything else. So what the first thing we're going to do is we're going to actually take a tally of Paula's order, and I'll see what I need to cut from the fusible interfacing, which is not in this room. And then what I need to cut from the non-fusible interfacing, which is where we'll also add in the bags that I've been cutting anyway. So like small box bags, big bags, and anything like, as long as I've got enough on the roll. I don't actually know. I think I have one more show push on this roll right now, but that doesn't include wholesale bags. So we'll see how far we get. Anyway, the first thing I need to do is actually take a tally. Paula made a really big order, which I appreciate. And if you're in the Vancouver area, it's good for you guys because it means that the shipping has already been paid, which is always nice. And I totally have tallied these up, but I don't have the paper handy. So it's just going to be quicker to tally them all up than to actually Try and find that paper in the disaster that is my cutting room right now. All right, and then we got 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. And if it's a little bit off, it's not a big deal. I've got to do so much cutting that it doesn't matter. 5, 5, 2. So, have any questions, feel free to throw them in the live chat, and I am obviously looking at my computer screen, so I will try to answer them as quickly as I can. Always love to know where people are joining me from, so if you want to throw that in, I would appreciate it too. That was actually the best part about doing the virtual shows over while we were obviously having restrictions was being able to chat with people from all over the world while I was actually doing presentations. That was super cool. Obviously, I'm always drawn to that, given that I go to Japan to buy my fabrics. So I love hearing different stories. Okay, 2, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1. Oh yeah, 3, 3, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 3, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And the cats are going to be in and out all day today as well. Dahlia, I had a box of pom-poms for the kids hanging out, and I actually moved them out of this box so that I could put the box bag handles in here, because if I put the box bag handles in here, I have a really good idea of what I actually need to cut for interfacing in general. It also means that they don't sink to the bottom of my bin with all my box bag cuts. And but it was full of pom-poms, so when I dumped it, a bunch of pom-poms fell out, and so she's been chasing them all around the room today. She's been an absolute heaven making the whole I am a successful hunter noises and all of that. So all right, 1, 1, 1. We're almost there. Actually, we're over halfway. 1, 1, 1. Oh, that should be down there. Easier to keep track of. 1. Oh yeah, and that's a 1, 1, 1 as well. It's just at the bottom. And then actually what will end up happening after this is I will go through and I will plan out what I want to sew right away. There's obviously some things I need to actually stock up on more than others. So I'm really well stocked on small box bags right now. But we do need more triangle pouches. We need more Kato, because the Kato have been absolutely insanely popular, which I really appreciate. They are one of those bags that have been an absolute coup for me to make. Because it was something that I wasn't actually able to make when I originally started sewing. And then last year I was just like, let's try this again. And they just came together so much easier that it made it worth adding into the lineup. Okay, so coral, we need 2, 2, 2. 1, 1, 1, 1. And 2, 1, 2. Okay. 2, 1, 2. All right, so now I got my large box bag numbers. I have my Kato numbers, and we'll go from there. So there's 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. Basically all the same numbers, so that's pretty good. All right, so we have 33 large box bags to cut fabric for, plus the handle amounts, and then we'll go in and cut. Actually, then we'll cut the interiors for those as well, so that I know. And then I did have a couple orders actually for pick your own, so we'll add those in there since I'm already working on getting stuff cut. So I know there were small box bags there. Okay. All right, so we have 3 small box bags to cut for sure, for pick your own. And 1, 2, 3, 4. And then 5 large box bags as well. So we actually have 38 large box bags there. So that's actually a better place to start because those are the requireds. Everything else is the nice to haves prepped for Knit City. Not that that's not important, but the other ones are officially on order. So with the cutting table in here, actually, I interfacing and working in like a medium-sized small business. It's not micro, it's not large. So working in the spaces that we have has been interesting to figure out the different ways to store stuff. So one of the ways I actually started doing interfacing this year is I added a curtain bracket to the bottom of my table. And it works decent. It at least stores the interfacing out of the way, which is nice. I'm going to use that chair later when I'm doing actual glass case interfacing, or stabilizer actually is the better description there. So now the awesome thing is I'm going to move you guys back. There. And you should be able to still see pretty well. Make sure that all my wires are out of the way so I'm not cutting anything. Yeah, so now I'll just take my templates that I use to actually cut the fabric, and then we'll cut the actual interfacing, and then we'll come in and we'll cut. I will sort out the bags and what colors I want for linings in a little bit, and we'll cut those as well. So if you have any questions, there's no one here right now, so I'm just going to be talking to myself. If I tell stories as we go here, well, that's what you're here for, right? All right, so all the non-fusible interfacing. So I should be able to get, I think there's 3 cuts of this. Where are you at? You are 66 inches. 2. Okay, so you're 60 inches. Okay, so I can get 3. Hi, Andrea. Good to see you. Thank you for joining. It's not showing you as on the actual viewer list, so that's interesting. I'm just working on cutting interfacings for Paula's order right now. Just did a count actually on camera. We tallied everything. All right, let's line this up here. So we figured out I need 38 cuts of large box bags, and I can get 3 per cut. So that means that we're actually going to end up doing we're going to do 13 cuts of interfacing. I am so not exacting with my interfacing, it's not even funny. Okay, apparently texts are actually coming through today. But anyway, so I will actually cut this right away, and then we'll actually have, that's weird. You would think that it would actually show up because you're obviously here. Okay, well, I'll keep chatting at you. Anyway, we're going to do the cuts. I'll cut them down, and then the last little bit of the interfacing that's extra actually becomes the handle interfacing itself. So, yeah, there's obviously some more technical difficulties today. It's weird because I logged in to do the live, and I logged in on my computer to do it because that's this camera. That's the one I want to be using for the actual live stream. But I'm also recording on my phone so that I have different footage for later, just a different perspective, and so that I can actually do a voiceover to it. That makes sense. But the phone took over, which it's a really annoying new feature to the, I guess, to the newer MacBooks. And like, it's really cool if you're working with a system that I would be able to like dual camera it, but I haven't figured that out yet. So it took over again. Hence the new link. So I'm glad people are able to find it at least. Anyway, we're doing interfacing for Paula's bags, the 38 large box bags. I don't have fusible interfacing in here right now. What's on the roll is the non-fusible. So I'm just going to be cutting for the large box bags. The large box bags and the pick your own bags, which are some large and some small. And then we'll be doing lining fabric hopefully today as well. Because as much as I want, there's this big pile of fabric still left that I haven't touched yet. But I realistically do need to actually start sewing. I've got 3 shows upcoming right now that are currently on the agenda. There's more kind of in the works for the fall. But right now, what I have on the agenda, I have a pop-up with Ancient Arts Yarns, July 15th. And then I will be at Omatsuri, which is a Japanese festival in Calgary, on August 13th, hopefully. I just got the vendor application for that one, but they invited me to it, so I should be on the roster for that. And then Knit City in Vancouver in September. And then hopefully in between, basically what'll happen is I'll prep for these pop-ups, and then I'll be cutting, or I'll be posting the products online after I take some photos. I actually got some really cool stuff for that. So because I've started the purses and I need purse displays, I got little purse stands the other day. And these purse stands, though, I remembered the secondary reason I wanted them is so that I could actually what's the words? Oh, I could use them for the large box bags to actually take photos in the little in the photo studio too, so they would actually hold them up nicer rather than trying to like do it on a hope and a prayer of like, hey, stay up while I'm taking your photo, please. Because like they're interfaced and stabilized, but they're not, the large box bags aren't really, none of these are really designed to stand on their own. The purses, yes. The project bags, no. So I was just thinking about that the other day. I was like, oh yeah, they had a dual purpose. So I'm super excited to take box bag photos now because I'll be able to hang them on these little hangers and hopefully they will look more professional. And of course, we have our quality control inspector as always. At least one of them. I don't know if you heard the story about Dahlia, but she has been ecstatic because she's still getting pom-poms and finding pom-poms to hunt in this room. So it's pretty cute. She is now, we would have gotten, so we moved into our first house in June of 2015. This week, actually, we got them just before my birthday in 2015. Her and Remy, not Flynn. Flynn is younger. But their best estimate at that point was that she was 2 years old. So at this point, she's actually 10 is our best guess. But she is super lively. She just had her checkup at the vet in April. And they're saying that she's pretty good. They think she might have a little bit of a thyroid issue, which the vet was kind of like, well, at this age, like pick something, basically, unfortunately. But otherwise, she's in really good health. And it shows in her playing. So I'm really happy with that. We did lose our gray gentleman last year very abruptly. It was actually really sad because he was definitely one of the cats that's like, if you've had cats or pets, you just kind of know sometimes that some of these the pets they're just yours. And he was mine. He was best cat. He really loved the kids. And it was just, at the same time, I'm really glad I didn't have to explain it to the kids. My daughter was in the room, but she was so young she didn't understand. And but she knew something was going on. She knew something was up. It was interesting to watch that at the same time. But we've got Flynn, who is turning 6 this year, and he has been a complete suck recently. He's just like been not leaving our side, in our faces. Like, it's cute, but it's kind of like, Cat, what? I hope you're feeling okay, dude. because it's not his normal activity. But that could also be he's just. I think there's another social shift at about 6. So he's almost 6. He will be 6 in September. He is a special breed. So he's a Norwegian forest cat, which is like it's the granddaddy of Maine Coons. They figure how the Maine Coon came about is the Norwegians, when they came over, they had, of course, ship cats, and they think that the Maine Coon came about by breeding between a Norwegian ship cat and a Maine Coon wild cat that is actually now extinct. But if you look at them, they do look very similar in like head shapes, body size, demeanor, all of that. Excuse me. All right, so that's 5 cuts so far. We're almost halfway, actually, which is nice. So yeah, I was going through and actually cutting most of these bags and figuring out what I want to do with the fabrics, because it's like if I batch make everything. So it's like cut the fabrics all at the same time, cut the interiors, cut the interfacing, because it's just kind of like that's part of the assembly line process. Then you don't have to keep doing a mental shift every time either of like, well, what do I cut next? But I did power out on actually cutting the rest of those fabrics. So they're going to sit there and look at me, and I will figure out what I'm going to do with them in the next couple weeks. Probably post in between Old Mott City and Knit City. My eldest, my daughter, has summer camps this summer, which will be amazing. She's going to have a crap ton of fun there. And it does mean that I will actually have time to do sewing for most of the week. We'll have my youngest with me, but we'll figure out what we're going to do together. He still naps, which is awesome. It means I'll have at least a little bit of time every day to work during the day. I used to do a lot of work at night. My days were kind of my days, and then a lot of the work happened at night. But I have had a shift of like I cannot work much past like 11, which doesn't sound that early, but I used to work until about 1:30. Was it healthy? No. But when it's the only time you have, you use it. All right, so that was 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. 9. Now I'm not super type A about my interfacing. These will not be exactly the right cuts, and that's fine. Interfacing, if I need to trim it down once I've actually sewn the bag, I will trim it down. That's fine. I'm actually super excited to get you guys over to the sewing machine and start showing you sewing instead of just cutting. Although it is far easier to talk while I'm actually doing cutting than it will be while I'm sewing, I think. Oh, that is awesome. It is hilarious, though, because actually my husband and I are not allergic to cats in general, but we are actually allergic to brown tabbies. Every time we have been around a brown tabby, we actually get like super snotty noses, the sniffles, our eyes get itchy. So unfortunately, we will not be having any brown tabbies in our house anytime soon. But that's awesome that she's being like claimed your daughter. Remy, our gray guy that passed last year, was definitely starting to get more used to the kids, and that was awesome. The one really nice thing with him, though, and I've noticed that they taught Flynn to, both him and Dahlia, is what we call soft paw. So none of like these cats have not scratched us or the kids. Remy scratched my daughter, my eldest, once by accident, though. Although the one problem with that, it was right over the eyeball, and of course, like caught her under the eye. She ended up with this great big massive, well, not massive, but it was big on her face, probably a 1/4 inch long. Anyway, it was a scratch. And it happened 2 days before we went in for her like 6-month vaccinations. And I was just like, of course, when it's always got to happen before you go out to do these important things with your health people. Okay, this is definitely wobbling a bit too far, but whatever. We'll finish these cuts up. Yeah, but these are the two. Remy was best cat because he hung out with us. He was super cuddly. He definitely was not active enough. I think that might have been what it was. We think he might have had a heart attack, to be honest, because it was just very sudden. Although if you look back at photos of him a couple weeks beforehand, he was definitely not looking like himself, which sometimes you only see in retrospect, unfortunately. And I doubt if I caught it any earlier, I don't think we would have been able to do anything either. But he was definitely like a people cat. He really liked being around you, typically on his terms still, but like hanging out like this, like Flynn is right now, getting in the way. Flynn and Dahlia are definitely a little bit more aloof, but that's okay. Oh, okay. I think we're close. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Oh, we're done. Sweet. We're close. We're done. I love it. All right. Now we'll do the other cuts. I still haven't changed that rotary blade, which I definitely should, but I guess I'll do it after the live stream. Or if it really fails in the middle of all of this, I'll get it trimmed up. Or not trimmed up, but changed out. I did actually go buy a new rotary cutter. So typically I use a 45 millimeter, which is good for these like bigger layers. But the 28 millimeter, look at it, it's just a baby. It's itty bitty. I love it. But this one should be good for like curves around the eyeglass cases and stuff. So that's actually why I wanted to try and cut some of the eyeglass cases today. Was I must have missed. There's like, sorry, there's this like a third of a sheet of interfacing here. Just hanging out, you know, randomly. I must have missed it when I cut that other one. Yep, that's exactly what happened. Okay, well, we'll cut that separate here in a moment. Anyway, yeah, I saw someone else cutting out the same eyeglass cases that I make. She's out of Ontario. Different fabrics, though, using the same pattern. And she was actually using a 28 millimeter rotary cutter to cut the curves. And when you actually go and buy this rotary cutter, it says exactly that. It's 4 curves. So we're going to try it out and see if I can use a rotary cutter, because honestly, it would make it way faster to use a rotary cutter versus scissors. If I have to use scissors because I'm not skilled enough with the rotary cutter, I will. Use what you're more capable at, for sure. But you know, worth a try. Having a backup rotary cutter is never a bad thing anyway. There you go. Not that rotary cutters break very often. I invested in this rotary cutter back in 2012, I think, 2014. And it's insane how much it improved my cutting quality. All right, so there is all the large box bag interfacings. +1, 2. Now we're going to do the, oh boy, we're going to do the small box bag cuts. But at this point, I probably should pull apart the bins and figure out what I actually want to accomplish over the next few weeks. Or I could ignore that and just cut the interiors. Let's ignore it and cut the interiors. All right, so we have the exciting choices of beige or white interiors. always fun. And then there's actually a bunch of cuts from big bags up there, so I'm going to pull them down. I just moved into this space, obviously, still working out the details. But I've got a bunch of I got to make sure that this is actually for big bags. It might actually be for large box bags, seeing the size of it. How big are you? Oh, it is. Interesting. Okay, so we might not actually need to cut as much fabric. This is actually why I wanted to centralize a lot of my processes, is because it's things I wanted to centralize, and I also got bins that are underneath the actual cutting table right now, because things were getting a little bit too, as things have ramped back up, it was getting a little bit too scattered and random. And granted, that is completely my fault. I could have had these systems in place before, but having moved and done a bunch of other things, everything kind of changed for how it had to be set up. So, all right, I think those look like big bag interfacing. So let's see here. Some of these are going to work and some of them are not. This one looks like it's actually probably going to be a big bag interfacing. Yeah, that's big bag. So the nice thing now is at least I've got the bin under here, so I'm just going to chuck it in the bin, and then I know what it's going to actually go to be worked as. That is definitely a big bag. Yep. So I guess we're not only cutting fabrics today, we're tidying up the top of my bookshelf as well, which, hey, not the worst thing in the world. This looks like it might be for large box bags. Might be big enough. And look at that, it is. Okay. So I'll set that one aside. So what I have to do now is, that's a scrap. Interesting. Is I need to I'll go through what I have cut for fabrics, and we will go through and basically decide, in this case, whether it's going to have a white or beige lining. My goal with linings is that it's going to be, make everything in your bag visible without burning your eyeballs out when you open it up. So I'm not going to put a white lining in a super dark fabric. That will burn the eyeballs out. So a dark fabric is going to get a beige instead, because it'll be less harsh on the eyes. Okay, that's a big bag as well. Looks like this is probably all big bag interfacing too, which is awesome. It means I don't have to cut as much. So we'll just lay this out. Oh. Now some of this might not be. That looks like that is large box bag interfacing. And it is. Okay, so we'll set that aside because I definitely have more large box bags to interface, but it can actually go down into the large box bag bin. Okay, this is big bag. So we'll use it as a template to see. What are you? All right. That looks like some monstrosity. I definitely don't use this big a piece normally. Okay, we'll throw it underneath and I'll cut some of the other bags out of it later. There we go. Okay, you are definitely big bag. And then you look like you're probably big bag cut as well. Look at that. Good enough. You have had coffee spilt on you. Get out of here. And you will need to be washed because the same thing. All right. This looks like it was probably already cut for a large box bag. Yep. Now this one is basically done. So what it's going to do is I'll just take it out and put it in my whip pile to finish here in the next, whenever I have a few spare minutes. Same thing as the Shiba Inu here as well. It's had one side. Oh, I see what stalled this. So this is part of the quality control inspection that I have to do after I'm actually done sewing. It's like, did I catch the whole zipper? I did not hear. So it goes into kind of a timeout. That's why it's been sitting on top of the bookshelf. So it'll go there and I'll fix it up, and it looks like I'll have to cut a new set of handles for it, or at least one side of it. Obviously I've got the other side in there already. There's another big bag cut, which is nice. And now that actually I've laid them out like this, I can just pair them up with whatever fabric they match. Now that is large box bags. I think we're into the large box bag cuts now. So all of this fabric actually comes from a Canadian supplier out of Winnipeg. So all my interior fabrics are exterior fabrics are Japanese, and then my interior fabrics are from Canada, made in the USA. And then the canvas I use for the Kato are actually also from a supplier out of Montreal. Actually, I have been chatting that I should make a trip to Montreal eventually. I've got friends out there. But Montreal, Toronto area, because I need to actually do some reconnaissance for suppliers. I think I just threw all of those linings and interfacings in the wrong bin, but oh well. It'll be easy enough to figure that out afterwards. But anyway, yeah, I was thinking I need to actually make a trip out to see the different suppliers, because like it's not easy figuring it out from online shopping. And if I was able to actually come out and see some of it, I would be able to probably figure out exactly what I need and then just order it in future. Siltex, which is the supplier of my Canadian lining fabrics, has actually come out and seen me, which has been fantastic because they'll bring samples and then I'm able to look at the samples and make my decisions from that. Okay, I'm just having a look. I've got some like plain blue fabric back here, but I think I'm going to actually use it for pockets in the Kato. It's kind of bright, so I think it would be a better contrast pocket. That is actually from a project from years ago that I didn't use all the fabric from. It was actually supposed to be paired with these guys. So this is a snowflake batik that actually paired for a kit for a snowflake cowl. And actually, I'm really liking this. So instead of actually going out and buying new lights, like I said I was going to, I'm just using my ring light. And I think it has, let me know if you notice it, but I think it has improved the light quality quite a bit at this end. So you're able to actually see the details on this stuff a bit better. Actually, a good one to compare it to would be the citrus. Oh yeah, that's definitely looking better than it did last week. Anyway, I wanted to ask too if people were interested in getting this as an actual pocket. I'm thinking that this would be a really nice, like, I may as well use what I have. And I do end up using actually quite a bit of blue fabric in pockets right now because it adds a nice contrast in the Kato. So weigh in either direction. I'm quite happy to hear both ways. So now I can move you back in a little bit and I can sit down. My husband and I went for a run this morning, and unfortunately I did jerk my foot, and of course the one that I broke a year and a half ago. I don't think I damaged it too much, but it definitely hurt. Definitely gave me an adrenaline rush. And so I'm just kind of like, I'm going to try and baby it a little bit today and give it a little bit of rest. Still running on it. It was fine. So I'm not too worried. But, you know, there's that little bit in the back of the head like, ooh, what if you did do something? I definitely in the past have twisted it bad. Well, not twisted it. I ended up actually, I think I broke it. It looked like a sprain, but it was actually probably a break. Because when I broke my ankle, they they came in and told me that I had other stuff that had an ossification. And so that meant that there had been another break that actually healed back up. So, all right. Now, I am at a loss a little bit because I think it looks like... Right, so this will be the large box bag and the Kato cut, and then we ended up with being able to actually do triangle pouches. I didn't think I could do triangle pouches in these. I will find out if Paula actually wants these cuts, because I don't think that's enough for a small box bag. Nope, that might be small box bag cuts. Okay. I almost need to go back and watch my own lives and see what I've done. Okay. So in this case, this is a nice light gray. Oh yeah, that ring light does help a lot. But the light gray, white sheep, obviously, with blue outline. This just, it doesn't work. It actually dulls it down quite a bit. So when you're opening it up, not very impressive. So in this case, it'll actually be, I'll pair it with the white. Oh, come here. There we go. We'll pair it with the white. And like when you open it up, it just makes it a nice straightforward bag. So basically what I do now is I go through and we do another tally, just like I did at the beginning of the show, to figure out how many interfacings I actually have to cut. And then if I throw them into a box, I'm still set. Is this a perfect system? No. It actually has quite a few failings, but it's got less failings than I would expect usually. So we've got white and we've got beige. So, and then I split it up based on like bag size. So right now we're doing the large box and the small box. I'm not too worried about everything else. The Kato and the triangle pouches are a very different size and shape. So I'll work on them after I figure out the box bags for now. Probably should pull the like box bag box out, but for now we'll just concentrate on the wholesale and the actual like pick your own orders that I've already finished. So we need 2 large box bags of white for the sheep. I'm gonna turn you back down a little bit just so you can we do this and then you can see me and the fabric? Kind of. I can hunch, whatever. Not good for my posture, that's fine. In this situation, the cats is on black, so we will be pairing it with the beige instead of the white, because the white would be a really stark contrast when opening it up. So again, that's just, it's not going to burn your eyeballs out as easily. This looks like it's probably the Kato, so we're not going to worry too much. Actually, while I'm doing my counts, I'll just do the same thing. So we're going to do white, Kato, large, small. So that's everything that's been ordered right now. Oh, and then the triangle pouches can go over here. Drip. And then we'll do the beige, Kato, large, small, and the triangle pouches. And then, yeah, I will worry about all the other cuts later. So in this case, we're going to do the beige in the Kato, and then we're going to do white in 2 large box bags for the sheep. Large box bag in beige. So and then I'm going to split the piles so that they're separate. Those are handles. So after we're done sorting them, I've got a pile of handle interfacing somewhere. This is what I mean. This is not a perfect system. There they are. They're over there. So actually, we'll chuck that in that cat bin. If that, where all the handles are supposed to be going. There we go. All right, that is, we need a small box bag of white because of that order. And then this is, I'll pick your own. Now, this is one of those odd ones where it could go either way. I could definitely do a beige, or I could do a white. And I think in this case, the white with the pink is going to be nicer in the long run. Yeah, seeing that on camera, I think that's better than this. This, for some reason, mutes it, even though it's going to be an interior. We're going to do 2 white large box bags. So, like, it's not going to sear your eyeballs out, but it'll brighten it up quite a bit. All right, macaron critters, we're definitely going to do white. There's 2 large box bags there. And then the tuxedo cat with flowers, we're going to also do white. And then the Maiko. Let's see. So again, this is another one. I think that should go with, yeah, the white is going to be too eye searing with how bright. Like the red is very bright already. That is not showing up on camera well. So it's already going to draw a lot of attention. The beige is just going to help it. It will tone it down a little bit, and it just won't be quite so eye-searing. All right, so there's all the handles that need to be interfaced. Okay, the frogs is going to be white. Aqua crackers will be white, and vending machines will also be white. I love it when it's easy. And how many are we making of these today? I think there's 2 of each, right? Because one's a pick your own, and then, yeah, I'm not making eyeglass cases out of the back because I will make a second small box. All right. Handles. This one's super easy. The cats are back in town. It's going to be a white lining. So that's another large box bag. Okay, so that's actually the order sheet for one of these. There's Paula's order sheet. Still faster to do the tallies earlier. This looks like it's supposed to be another large box bag. I don't know why it's folded like that. Whatever, we'll put it in there. There's enough fabric. If I need to recut something, I can from that one. All right, we got another small box bag of, so in this case, because the order was for the large box bag, I will do the small box bag, and then on the flip side, I will make something else out of it so that we're not overdoing stuff. All right, so small box bag, that was a beige. And then this looks like it might be, no, that's the handles. Okay, I think. This is the cut that we haven't made yet. Okay. Oh, okay, there's the Kato, or the large box bag cuts. Okay, so that was a Kato in there already. There's the handles. Right? Is that what this is then? Oh my goodness, guys. Maybe I do need to go back and rewatch my own stream. Okay, so there's small box bags. This looks like this is supposed to be all large box bag cuts. So that's what we're going to go with. So in this case, with this beige with the gray, I'm going to do a beige lining. 1, 2. The blue I think has to go white. 1, 2. And then this, obviously, we've already discussed, is going to be white. And I'm actually going to put that under the Kato line because I know that this was supposed to be both. All right, so white, beige, small box bags again. All right, and these are supposed to be white as well. My exact science, guys, is not exact. That's okay. All right, small box bags, we're going to do 2 white and 2 beige because the beige is in here. Small box. Now I know those aren't going to Paula or to my pick your order, so they're going to go down there for now because they're not super high on the list. All right. So here's the Kato. This is going to be a beige lining. Now the next step with the Kato bags is also I have to decide on a pocket color. In this case, I'm probably going to end up doing, like a beige gray, actually. But this is going to be a beige lining. So a beige Kato, a beige large bag, and there is the handles I need to sort out. And then there's the triangle pouch. I have not officially found any of the other triangle pouches, so I'm not 100% sure where they are right now. There's the citrus handles. And then I think this will be white, and then the actual navy will be beige, and then we'll do a blue pocket with the navy. Oh my goodness, guys. The navy citrus. There we go. And then these, I think, are the triangle pouches. Yeah, that's the offcut for the triangle pouch. So we're going to do one white and one beige. Large box bag. These both are large and Kato. These are both going to be white. So like there's actually white on this little background, and then this would just look really muted with the beige. So we've got 2 Kato and 2 large box bags. And then we're going to do the triangle pouches will both be in that as well. And then I've already pre-cut the small box bags, so we'll put them down 2. Just 2, because then on the flip side, we'll do the eyeglass cases. And realistically, if I mess up these cuts, they'll just go towards another project. It's not like I don't have a bunch of stuff to cut. And so at this point, this is white. That's 2 large box bags, I think, in the... Yeah, Sushi Cats has to be 2 Kato, 2 large box, and 2 triangle. So there's an easy answer. So 2 Kato, 2 large, and 2 triangle. 3 triangle. There we go. So we're just going to move all of this over here. Throw those in there. And then there's the actual triangle pouches. And I think actually I've got 4 cut. So we're going to put 4 down because then I can just make the one for the shop. We have woodland bunnies. So now this was a increase in numbers as well. Yeah, so we need 2 Kato and 2 large box bags. So the woodland bunnies is going to be white, and then we will do a beige gray pocket for the Kato with these. So it's going to be 2 white, 2 Kato, and 3 triangle pouches. And then the sage and the navy are both going to be in the beige. The navy will end up having, actually I'll probably do those bright blue pockets with the beige against for this one, because that would actually look spectacular. So that will be beige lining, and that one is going to be 3 of each. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and 3 triangle pouches. 1, 2, 3. I swear I can count to 3 most days. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, perfect. So I will actually add 2 more triangle pouches, and that will do fine. Then we've got our macaron critters in gray and Mount Fuji on sand. Mount Fuji on sand. Ooh, these are tough. Okay, so macaron critters and the Maiko and Kyoto on the blue are going to be white. So that's easy enough. So that's going to be 1, 2, 1, 2. Oh, 1, 2. And then Mount Fuji. Mount Fuji might need to be beige. So we're just going to lay it over top here. No, it's just a little bit too far off. This is more of a sand color, whereas the actual lining fabric is like light tan. This is like sand to taupe. And the contrast just doesn't work. So Willie will do white for that one. Okay, so we got another Kato, another large box bag, and another triangle pouch. Sweet. And there's all the handles. There's the triangle pouch. Triangle pouch. Oh, and then we've got the small box bags. So we'll do, it's going to be 1, 2, 3 small box bags. And then the eyeglass cases, which we'll ignore for now. And that goes down there. There's the handles for the Sassy Cats, which is good. We need those. All right, triangle pouches for the penguins. Super easy. All these penguin bags are going to be white, so I don't even really need to pull them all apart. I will just go based on what is actually on the counts. Banana Cat is also going to be on white, just easier. So that's going to be a Kato, a couple large box bags. There's the handle. At least we can pull the handles out. Actually, that looks like there's 2 large box bags there and 2 Katos, which is useful. I'm not sure what's happening there. Oh, well, I know what I need to sew for Paula. We've got the penguin triangle pouches, again, just onto the white pile. I don't know why I'm putting them on the beige pile, but that's where they're ending up right now. Penguins with the lime. Just make sure that I've got the handles out somewhere. Triangle pouches. Bags. Okay, so I already have the counts for the penguins on the actual list here. So I'll just go through and add them up. So we've got 2 penguin Kato on yellow. 2 large box bag yellow. 2 triangle. Lime polka dots, we've got 2, 1, 2. So 2 Kato. 1 large box bag, 2 triangle pouches. Black polka dots, we've got 2, 2, 2. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Coral polka dots, we have 2 of everything. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Danube blue, we've got 2, 1, 2. So 2 Kato, 1 large box bag, 2 triangle pouches. All right, I think we've got everything, or at least we've got the majority of it. And if I don't have all the cuts, that's fine. Obviously, I can always cut more. Better to cut less than more right now. So obviously, the majority of this is going to be in the white. My fabric is able to make 6 large box bags out of 1 cut in a specific direction. So the number of large box bags for white is 5, 10, 15, 25, 29. So I'll cut 30, which means I need 5 cuts of white. And then I have 10 large box bags, so in the beige, so I'll make 12 cuts or 2 cuts of the large box bag. And actually, I already have some of those, so I probably only need to make 1 cut of the beige for the large box bags, which is pretty sweet. All right, so this is the pile of white for the Pick Your Own and Paula, and then the much smaller pile of beige. But that's usually how it goes. A lot of the fabrics are a lot lighter. I end up cutting, usually there's like one fabric or the other that kind of wins for the number of cuts that I have to make for it. And then I'll worry, like I said, about the triangle pouches and the Kato after this because they're different. It takes more math. And I'm already struggling with the thinking processes today because my goodness. Maybe I should have had another cup of coffee before I came downstairs. All right, so that should be 4 Obviously, again, I am not being very exact. Oh yeah, there we go. Maybe. What happened to you guys? You were cut wonky. Because that bit up here, the extra, I don't need it. Weird. Okay, well, whatever. I must have just done a really, really crappy cut. Okay. Well, may as well use it. So there's 4 beige bags already. Super easy. We'll square it up a little bit because, hey, we got extra fabric. May as well. There we go. Nice thing now is I can actually have a sit down and trim these versus having to manipulate that interfacing. There we go. Now, so this sort of stuff, I don't throw this out right away. It is large enough that probably what I'll do is I will sew the tops together, and then this will be a lining piece for needle stashers. That is the best intentions I have. We'll see if it actually happens or not. It might also just go into a strip pile that I end up selling, which is not the end of the world, really. There's lots of people who will. It's a 4-inch wide strip, so it's actually a fairly good size for like doing scrap work with, or more than scrap work. That's a little bit larger than I normally get rid of, though, just because like I do have projects that it would work. But I am coming to the point where it's like I am running out of scrap storage, so it just needs to move out of the house at this point. This will just get thrown out. Or, again, maybe thrown into the scrap piles for a little bit to hand on to someone else for weaving. What else would it be good for? It'd be really good for, like, stuffing. You could cut it up and use it in stuffing for things. But for me, there is no use for it. Not that small. And not of this fabric, because this fabric is basically my generic lining pieces. Pretty sure it's actually what Siltex probably sells it for the most is quilt backings, because it's very wide fabric. It's 108-inch wide fabric. That was not a very good cut. There we go. All right, and then for the center, I'll just cut down the middle here on the fold. And then what I can do, just to double check all my counts, is I could pair up the actual like fabric to what's in the box. I'm not doing that right now. How I actually do end up doing it quite a bit, but right now I don't feel like reaching down to get it. Oh, I'm gonna be lazy and not do it. Okay. This was also right. Yeah, that looks like a 21-inch. Go like that. Okay, so we'll square up the bottom there here in a little bit. Make sure this is all lined up here. Make sure that's actually what this was intended for, which it is. Good. Oh yeah, no, I definitely need to change this rotary blade. I know I said that last week and then I didn't do it, but problem is the duller it gets, the more dangerous it gets, because you have to. It's the same idea as like chef knives and stuff like that. Is yeah, the duller it is, the worse it is for like safety. And I've definitely given myself some nasty cuts with rotary cutters. They are not friendly beasties if you don't respect them. So maybe once I actually get through these cuts, I will go get a new blade. We'll swap it out on camera. Okay, go. Square up this edge because it's all kind of wobbly. There's all the bits. Yeah, so normally like this sort of thing, it will go into a like pass on pile. Because I don't have any use for it, but that doesn't mean someone else doesn't. And I hate the thought of wasting fabric. Within reason, obviously, if you've really fucked up if you really effed up a cut or something like that, there's not much you can do. I guess I did rate this as not for kids. So that's good. All right, let's see here. Go. And then this sort of thing will definitely go into a pass on pile because I don't have any use for that size. Again, I could probably sew it together and use it for needle stashers, but again, and also I'm running out of space to do that sort of thing with. So there will be a lot of needle stashers getting restocked this fall. Got a bunch where I just need to do the snap installation. So that might actually be something that I do on live here in the next couple weeks, just because it's like, Katie, just finish the project. Get it done. And then you'll have a product done, which is like half the battle most of the time. All right, so the first cut was 4 pieces of beige. This cut is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cuts of beige. Sweet, so I only need to do 1 more cut of beige. So let's do that since I've got it sitting right here. And it's only 1. And Flynn has disappeared. I wonder where he went, considering how happy he was being on that fabric back there. I swear I did set up his heating pad for him, but he is such a cat. Very aloof, and of course will not use anything that you provide him. He'll just use the stuff that he's not supposed to be on. All right, so we need it to go this way. The only problem with these wide ones is my ruler does not actually reach the other side of the fabric, which is why the cuts sometimes get a little bit wonky as well. I do try to square it up as much as I can. There. But I am definitely not as careful with these ones as I am with the Japanese fabrics, since these are a little bit easier to access, although shipping can be quite a bit. There we go. So I think I'm sitting pretty good there, though, for the summer, which is good, because I do need to make a big order for leather cording, because the Kato all take leather cording. But I have a good supplier out of the US for them, actually. I have been looking for a Canadian supplier, but it's hard tracking these things down, which is part of the reason why I'm also like, I need to get a trip out to like the garment district, basically, of Toronto to see what's available. I guess Toronto, Montreal, both of them. All right, so now we can typically get 6 out of this. So I'm pretty sure if I cut right here, I don't have to unfold it. Let's see. I was right. I'm gonna just scoot that in a little bit. Yeah, there we go. Perfect. Okay. Line this up and cut. The nice thing now is I actually have a start on the other large box bags that are in the bin as well. And there is the beige done. All right. So how many? I said I needed 5 cuts of the white. Okay, so this just get chucked over there for now. For all intents and purposes, I should try and keep this cutting room as tidy as possible, but I'm also in show prep mode, so it's just kind of like, get out of here so I can cut the next thing or do the next thing. Excuse me. What I should do is the same as the bags. I'll just repurpose one of the bins I already have. And you are, yeah, there's a little bit too much fabric there to pull it off yet. We're getting close though. It's always nice when it's like you can just kind of get rid of the bolt and just unfold the fabric, because I don't know, I find it easier. It's nice. The bolts are good for storage, but I find them more difficult to cut off of sometimes. Granted, unfolding it like that isn't going to make it any easier because it all gets crunched up, but whatever. All right, so there's the first round for white. And do the long side. Ooh, this is hard to see. Okay. So I just use cardstock templates. Use them because they're cheap and I can cut them. And when it's just a rectangle, it's really not a big deal. But I originally did the templates because when I was starting out, I would actually confuse the directions of where my zipper needed to go. So I cut the template so that it's actually marked which end's the zipper, because with directional fabrics especially, that's what you need to keep track of. I am better at it now, but I still like using the templates because it's just like plop it on and you're good to go. You don't have to think, which most days is a very good thing. I've already done the thinking. All I got to do is the cutting. Or that gives me more brain space to do stuff like the tallies for how many pieces of fabric I actually do need to cut. All right. And I don't know if I mentioned, I haven't mentioned it on this stream, but I think I mentioned it on Monday if you saw that stream. But I figured out why it felt like my triangle pouches weren't going to fit on the knot bag cuts. And that's because the way I was cutting the strip off already, they were not designed to work that way. The way they're designed to work is actually really specific. I've actually even got it marked on the knot bag, but I cut the fold, and that's what becomes the triangle pouches. And if I cut it with the long handle up the fold, then I've got like it's minuscule. It's like within a ½ inch, and that's what I was missing from those knot bag and triangle cuts last week. Is it's literally like a ½ inch to an inch of fabric if I cut it one way versus another. So that was obviously I haven't cut knot bags for a while. I had a little bit of an overstock of them, and so I've just got to get back into the groove of knot bags. But at least I figured it out before I cut like 60 of them. All right, we're gonna cut these two first, and then I'll lay out the rest of them. So that's 2 out of 5 cuts. So now what I'll do as well is the selvage is a little bit off on these. So, and the other part of this is I actually do work with these fabrics unwashed, but all the exterior fabrics have been washed and dried on hot, although I do suggest that if you need to wash your project bags, obviously anything without leather. So the Kato and the Luxe tote bags would not be machine washable. They'd be spot clean only. But I do suggest that with the project bags and the tote bags, like the big bag, up to the big bag, you can throw them in the washing machine, but I would suggest against the dryer once they're made that way, because there's actually interfacing in them, and I find the dryer eats interfacing. So it tends to like ball it up and make it not work the way it's supposed to. The interfacing is what actually gives the bag its body so that it keeps its shape, whatever you're doing, or at least it springs back a bit better. And I find if it's been like washing it is fine, and if you air dry it, you can like pop the corners out and it helps the interfacing keep its body. Whereas if you wash and dry it, for some reason the interfacing loses its body. It has to probably do something to do with the heat or something like that, but just find you have better results with project bag washing if you just air dry them. And realistically, the washing machine has taken the biggest part of the work out of the job for you. So there's a nice round of white lining. All right, so that's 12 minus 12. So I need to do 3 more cuts of white. Whew. All right. And that means we're going to empty this bolt. Let's just do it. Not that I actually use these bolts for anything. They do get recycled though. And there's cardboard bolt. Should figure out something to do with them, but I'm never quite sure what. There we go. Each of them holds actually 15 meters of fabric. So when I use one up, it always feels like a massive accomplishment. Kind of like going through, I use 5,000 meter cones of thread right now with the industrial machine especially. And it always feels like a huge accomplishment when I get through one of those. Although I'm noticing that quite a few of them are getting very low. And I think I actually need to make a thread order soon. You know, everything always comes at once. So 1. I know I still said I was going to change my rotary blade, and then I didn't. Curses. All right, after these cuts, once I get all the white cut, I will do it. And actually, the next step with these guys for the wholesale order is we'll need to go through and select zipper colors. Now, I am in the transition from pre-cut, pre-made zippers, so with zipper stops and everything like that. That's what I've been using for years. I've had a really good supplier. But just recently, I actually got directed to YKK Wholesale. And so now I'm in the transition to doing zipper tape. Zipper tape allows me to cut the zippers to any length that I require, making it cheaper. And I'm also able to select my zipper pulls. So the zipper pulls you might notice on some of the darker bags have been shifting to more of a kind of a little bit squatter, but they also have a bigger eye, head, however you want to call it. And they've been working really well. So the transition, I've got lots of close-end zippers still, but as the colors run out, I'll be purchasing these new zippers and new zipper pulls to actually make zippers. But right now, I've got navy, gray, red, and navy, gray, red, and black. So the lighter colors, I've still got a lot of like whites and ivories and light gray. The other exciting thing that I got when I did the order is I actually got the color chart. So I'm going to be able to compare them all and see what I actually want to use versus the fabric. All right. So there's the white almost done. One more cut. And then we'll cut the actual bag out of it. And then the large bags for Paula will be, and for the Pick Your Owns, will be having their interfacing and linings done. All right, now in this case, I could use my shears, but the rotary cutter I find is still faster. And so that's just what we're going to do here. Okay, there we go. I've already cleaned up the selvage edge for all 3 of these cuts, if you noticed as I was actually doing it. And then we're just going to line everything up so that it's like good to go. So So the selvage edges have been cleaned up, and then we're just going to match the actual ones here. Go. And then we just got to make the one cut. Now this is where, so the 45 millimeter rotary cutter does start to fail around this many layers because this is 12 layers. And in that case, if you're a sewist or if you're looking to get into sewing, a 60 millimeter rotary cutter is actually better. I do not have a 60 millimeter rotary cutter, and they are expensive. Plus the 28 millimeter is going to be more effective for longer. And basically all I need to do is I need to get my electric rotary cutter fixed up so I can use it for stuff like this. Because cutting straight, no big deal at all for it. It just goes zoom. It will be louder for the lives when I do start using it again, but I'll put on a headphone warning or something, I guess. All right, so there's all the white done. There's the lining and interfacing done. All right, I think the next thing we could actually, I think maybe we should do the small box bags. Or we could do the triangle pouches. So we could actually do the knot bags and triangle pouches. This is the one area where it's like, oh my goodness, what should I do? Actually, okay. Because now I gotta decide. Okay, so there's the interfacing for the bags. I think we should do the knot bags because they'll be what creates the triangle pouches for Paula. Which means I actually need to go grab the bin, which means I will go grab a new rotary blade. So give me one moment. I'm going to mute the mic. Actually, no, I'm not, because last week that screwed everything up. So I'm going to clip you to my notepad. So hopefully you don't end up with a bunch of noise. And I will be right back with a new rotary blade and the knot bag bin. As long as I don't stick to my chair. Okay. All right. Box bags over here. All right, so for the majority of these, I think we might already have the cuts in the box. Oh no, now I gotta go through and check again. Oh well, we did the counts, so realistically it doesn't matter. So what we're going to do is we'll just go through and do the knot bag cuts, and then the ones that need to be redistributed to Paula will be redistributed to Paula. And the ones that are going to be staying here with me, which it looks like actually the majority of the bin is for me, we'll just break them up and we'll do the lining fabrics from that. Because I can't remember if the triangle pouches end up coming out of the knot bag fabric or not, to be honest. Okay. I cannot tell if that's a new blade or not. I don't know why it's bare in there. That looks like it might be a new blade. I know that there's one. This one down here is definitely old blades. So we're going to treat, oh no, that's an old blade. It's got gunk on it. So I do actually sometimes just resharpen the blades. Yeah, that looks like it might be used with this nifty little like sharpener. This one has this blade that's on the rotary cutter right now has already been resharpened. And I don't feel like doing it right now. So we're just going to swap to a brand new blade. It's really easy. Respect the rotary blade. But I'll probably go through and actually sharpen all of these blades at a later time. I just don't feel like doing it today, like I said. So new blade day. It's always exciting. All right. Now this is the terrifying part, because you've got this basically this little sliver of freaking, yeah. Moment of silence while I get these blades separated. Last time I ended up with 2 blades on the rotary cutter, and the rotary cutter was not happy. Okay, that's one. And then I have to clean out like there's a bunch of gunk around the blade cover. And if I can, I clean out the gunk here. Because of course these all have a little bit of oil because it's metal on metal for the actual like axle, I guess is what you could call it. All right. And then what I do personally is I pop it on the blade cover. Everything's looking pretty healthy. And then I struggle to remember which direction the washer goes. So I usually have to take the bolt off at least once. But I think I might have gotten it today. Now this rotary cutter will not be what I use to cut the actual knot bags. Actually, this will be a good run to see. Yeah, no, that's not the right way for the washer to go on. So I got to take it off and flip it. But the knot bags will actually be an excellent way to see how this new rotary cutter works with the 28 millimeter, because it'll probably end up actually cutting the curves for me really nicely. There we go. Tighten it back down. It's still not right. What? Okay, so there's a couple of different things that can happen. One, I've put the washer on the wrong direction, which is completely possible. Aha, there we go. The nut, I mean, the top bit. That looks right. Feels right. All right. Now we got to pick up these terrifying death blades. All right. It looked like there was actually one that had a nick out of it already. Oh no, it's a piece of leather or something. Okay. Heck, Finn. Okay, and then try and get them in the case so that I don't break any of them. Rotary blades are surprisingly expensive. It's actually, so purchasing a rotary cutter is surprisingly expensive, especially in Olfa, which is like top of the line, sort of. It's the one everyone knows. But then on top of it, replacing the rotary blades gets to be expensive, which is actually the main reason I don't have a 60 millimeter is A, it would cost quite a bit for me to buy one when I wouldn't end up using it that much. And then B, because the rotary blades are so expensive. All right, so there's the white fabric. We're going to fold it up for now. We're going to do the knot bag cuts, and then we'll figure out the triangle pouch cuts after the knot bags and whatever I need to actually make for Paula. So let's start right here. So some of these I've cut. I'm pretty sure I cut most of these on camera last week, but you know, let's have a tour because they're adorable. So there's macaron critters on white. Also, the color is way better this week with the ring light, so let's do it again. Macaron critters on white. Oh, come on, come apart. Breakfast delivery and breakfast foods on like a light pink. And then fans with like modern motifs and cranes on, it's like bubblegum pink is what I would qualify this as. So now we go in and we cut it correctly so that we can make the triangle pouches from it later. I'm going to even up all my selvages so that I only have to do this once for these 3 fabrics, hopefully. Unless they do not cooperate, which they might not. There we go. Okay. There we go. And then actually we'll line up the folds, because the fold is actually the more important part for the scraps or the offcuts that I use. Oh, I see. Okay. So the cranes is like a more standard width, whereas the macaron critters and the breakfast foods are a little bit larger. Just to kind of even everything out. There we go. Nice and flat. Now, honestly, I typically end up using a Bic pen to to do these, but I think I'm going to actually use my air erasing pen because I found an excellent supplier of them in Japan for cheap, which is awesome. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so basically I lay it out. So we lay out the short handle side towards the selvage, and then I put the large handle side towards the fold. And then what we're going to do is we will split this pile right now into white and beige, and then I know what I actually need for each going into my next round of lining cuts. The knot bags do not take, we're just going to use the Bic. But my knot bags do not take any interfacing, which actually makes this process like basically all I have to do is cut them now and then cut the interior, and Bob's their uncle. Bob's your uncle. I make that joke because my kids actually have an Uncle Bob in the family. It's a terrible joke, but it makes me happy every time I say it. Anyway, so what we're going to do is we're just going to trace it around here, and then I will see what we can do with the rotary cutter, if we can do anything with the rotary cutter. That is a very faint line, but that's okay. This might be too thick actually for this rotary cutter, but we'll see. Who knows? I'm still learning. Again, I could just use my shears, which if this rotary cutter fails for this many layers, that's exactly what we do. It's so tiny. It's like so itty bitty. Part of the other problem is that I actually did use this earlier to cut paper. Ooh, nope, we're good. Cut paper for the actual things that I bought this for. Ooh, okay, this one is easier to hold like more. Oh yeah, no, it's not quite as happy with it. Okay, that's fine. Let's try this and see. I think I might be more used to the scissors, so it might still be faster for me to use the scissors or the shears, whatever you want to call them. I'm never quite sure what the difference between shear and scissor is. I'm going to assume it's like the length or something like that, but I don't actually know. Yeah, I think the scissors might be better for me personally right now, but this will be nice to use for the interfacing for the eyeglass cases. I can see it. Yeah. All right. It's a nice clean cut though. I think that's probably cleaner than my scissors have done in a while, so that's good. Granted, I need to take, everything needs some TLC. My scissors especially need to go in to get a sharpening again. I think the last time I sharpened them was 21, and there's been a lot of fabric cutting since then. Okay, there we go. Now, if I lay the fabric flat, that might actually help with my cutting because then it's not in the way. And just about done. Sweet. Look at that. All right, there we go. Now we're going to just trim this because this, I don't think it has any use for me because of the selvage on it. Now this actually is what becomes the notebook and canvas or the appliques that I have available. So basically this just gets cut off and then I use that, and then this goes into a scrap pile to sell on because I do not use those fabrics. So just go snip, snip, snip. And then that can become someone else's project. And it goes down there with the scraps. And then here is our knot bags. So now these will be all white knot bags. Just they're a really light fabric, like light colored fabric. The beige would not look good with any of these. So they all become white lined knot bags. And then this is what becomes a triangle pouch, a cake cozy, and a wristlet at this point. Now, none of these fabrics are Paula's fabrics, so I'm not going to worry about the triangle pouches right now, especially since if I'm going to cut the triangle pouches, I should realistically just cut all of it. So we will put them aside, ready to be cut, probably closer to Knit City. Triangle pouches are a fairly specific to knitters kind of thing. Obviously, you could use it for anything you would like. It would be a good cosmetic bag or notions pouch, like whatever kind of notions you use in your everyday life, I guess. um, but like even myself, I can't think of much that would end up being useful from a triangle pouch perspective. All right. That is too many layers for that little rotary cutter. Are we going to use the rotary cutter? Let's do the micro dogs and the cats because they're also going to be both white fabric lining. These guys are freaking adorable. They're so tiny. Like, there's my finger. That Pomeranian butt is so small. Poodle butt, I guess. They look like they might be poodles, Shiba, and Frenchies. It's a really good pink, too. It's like a princess pink. Yeah, super cute. All right, that's right. We're lining up folds because that's where all the offcuts come from. Line up the curve with the selvage. So this is going to be the micro dogs on pink and sketchy sweater cats. They're folded. The sketchy sweater cats are folded inside out because that was just how it ended up working out better, apparently, with how the grain must have warped and washed or something. I am actually going to go grab something that will make this far easier, which are some pattern weights for this so that I don't have to hold it constantly. So back on the paper you go, and I'll be right back again. And actually then I can take the Dune box with all the rotary cutters blades back into the other room as well. One moment. Hi, Dilly. All right, so that is actually a good reminder that I need to move the little pegboard that everything is on into this room. I think there's space actually for it on this wall right here. That's probably going to be the best because I was thinking of hanging it. Oh, no, actually, there's space on the wall right here. I've got a little display piece of critters from the Vancouver Olympics, but the Scatus there would be a lot more useful. I just use the IKEA pegboards for a lot of my stuff because they are so useful. And in this case, my pattern weights are just big washers from the hardware store, which has been something that I'm sure circulated online for a really long time. But they're cheap, they're effective. If you need to add more, it's really, really, really easy. Okay, good. Now we're just going to draw the pattern out. So the pattern weights are just to hold the pattern in place. So see, I could do that hands-free. Sometimes as well, I actually leave it in place depending on how I'm cutting it. Just because it makes life easier. All right. Then we're just going to use the shears this time. But yeah, my shears definitely need a tune-up as well. We just, I have a Jeep, and it actually just went in for a tune-up. Speaking of that, nothing really wrong, except we are going to need to replace the radiator, which is not something you want to hear. Apparently, it has a very slow leak, so it's kind of like one of those situations of like, okay, if you drive in it, or he basically flat out told me we'll be lucky if it makes it through the summer. So now we have a quote to be able to like at least plan it in to our budget. It's not dire. It's not like it's going to explode on the driveway. And so now we can plan it in for the next oil change probably, because the transmission fluids apparently need to be done as well. It's at that mileage. And he said basically if we do both at the same time, it'll save us, it'll make it a combo deal basically. It'll save us about an hour of labor, which is significant when you consider mechanic rates. Totally worth it. I don't want to have to teach myself all of the stuff to deal with cars right now. All of the Jeep has been very nice because it's very modular, just by design, of course. And so we're kind of looking at if we can do the radiator ourselves or not, or what, because that would then be a significant savings in the fees, at least. All right, so these guys are going to be, I think that these need to be that blue that I was showing earlier. That will complement this really well. I've got a couple other fabrics that were not in the fabric catalog because I had very little of it. And yes, car and home repairs are so expensive. I screwed up. Our kiddos are small enough that their socks are getting eaten by the washing machine. And so the washing machine was telling us that it had suds. And I knew that it meant that there was an itty bitty baby sock, toddler sock, blocking the filter in the washing machine. So you have to pull the filter out and clear the sock out of there. And whatever other junk has gotten caught in it. Routine maintenance, but it came up sooner than normal. And I knew it was a sock because I've never had this happen before at this regular interval. But the problem is that filter in the past has obviously gone through some damage, and it made the washing machine leak. We were extremely lucky in that we caught it basically as soon as we could have, because our washing machine is upstairs. For some reason, the drain that's in the back, I don't think it's sloped correctly. So but to fix that, you basically have to pull up the whole tile floor and like re-slope it. So that's not going to happen. But we have shag carpet in this new house. It got into the carpet, soaked in like halfway across the hallway, and then started dripping down through a pot light in the kitchen, which is when we caught it. We lucked out that we were home by that point, because we'd run out to grab the kids, and we were just sitting downstairs deciding dinner, and you just hear this click, 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 and you go, oh, you know something's up. And I'm so glad that we were where we were when we were, because like if I'd been working downstairs, which is when I'm normally running the washing machine, it would have flooded the kitchen. It's insane how much water there was coming through. Anyway, that was a call to our home insurance, because thank goodness they covered it. It would have turned out to be about a $4,000 bill, because of course this couldn't have happened on like, I don't know, a Tuesday night or a Wednesday night. No, it had to happen on a Friday night. So it's not only that it happened, but of course it's all the emergency fees to do it as well, because you do not want to leave that. Oh yeah, we're good. We do not want to leave that obviously sitting over the weekend and molding underneath. So we caught it early enough that basically what they did is they brought in an extractor. They extracted as much of the liquid from the carpet as they could. And then they had fans, and the fans ran about 36 hours, and it was all good. They said there shouldn't be any mold problems, but my goodness, I felt stupid. And B, it would have been an expensive fix without home insurance. So thank goodness for home insurance. All right, I fucked up my salvages on this one. Oh no, we're on the fold. Okay, so the salvages for the hamsters is just a bit smaller. Okay, I'll show you these fabrics once I get them cut. yes, we do plan to replace it eventually. We're at that point where the kids are still young enough. I want to get through potty training is the main one. And actually, so the carpet in our old place was a lower pile carpet, and it showed its wear a lot more than this carpet has. So I think actually we'll be replacing, like, it's a modern shag. It's not like a 70s shag. It's not orange, which is one of the keys. And so I think we might actually just replace it with another shag carpet. But it, like, I don't know. This place is 6 months older than our old place, and the carpet's held up way better than our old carpet ever did. You can definitely see where the cats have picked at it a little bit since we moved. But like going up and down the stairs and stuff like that, like there isn't the traffic marks like there was in the old place. So I think we're going to end up with 2 big renovations in the next, I don't know what I would put it at. Probably, I think we got another 5 years out of the carpet, which would put it around 13 and a half years old. So I think that's pretty good for a carpet. Oh yeah, no, my grandparents had 70s shag. It was something. They had a really nice A-frame out in Lac des Arcs. It's like halfway between Canmore and Calgary, basically. So right in the mountains. Nice little hamlet community, no services, just houses. They used to own the pharmacy out in Canmore. But their house was definitely dated. It had the 70s shag, and then it also, however, had the floral orange and yellow wallpaper. So that was an experience. Orange Formica, not even counters. It was like Formica cupboards with the chick magnetic snaps on the glass, the like smoked glass uppers. Yeah, it was a very formative experience for me because I still remember it. It actually came up for sale when just before we were starting to look at this place, or just after we bought this place. I can't remember, last summer at some point. And they had put whoever had bought it after my grandparents, it for sure sold once. I don't know if it had sold since we sold it after my grandpa passed away. But they had put a lot of work into it, and it looked absolutely spectacular. It was actually really nice. They took obviously all the shag out, and I don't think there was any of the wallpaper left either. But like, it was really nice. Really weird to see though, because it was really expensive. They were listing it for like 1.9 million or something like that, and I'm like, holy crow, because I know how much we sold that place. I think in like 20 years ago. So anyway, worth the amount that they put into it though too at the same time, because the renos on that place wouldn't have been easy or cheap. We've got some pancakes on the ivory, so that's going to be a white bag. We've got the fans on the off-white, and then we've got a couple fabrics that aren't even in the fabric catalog because I had 1 meter of them each. So we got some guinea pigs on like an off-white kind of vanilla fleck color, and then some hamsters with little floral crowns and all of that. They're super adorable. Anyway, long story short, I actually quite enjoy our shag. The only place I do not enjoy our shag is it's in the basement where I'm working, although it's actually doing pretty well. I thought it was just going to be an absolute nightmare for like losing pins in and thread and all of that, and actually it hasn't been that bad. So yay, modern shag. Apparently it's not I don't know, the 70s shag I think was also thicker. The stuff we have in this house is not actually that thick. I would put it at medium pile instead of like high pile, and I think that might be some of the difference. Okay, I need to grab a lighter one so that I can actually see the cutting line on it. So I think today it's coming up on 3 o'clock. Usually I've only been on about till 3:30. But I think for today I will run until I have most of these knot bags cut. or 3:30, whichever comes first. So that's another about 32 minutes or so, 30 minutes. But we're doing pretty good about getting through most of this. So, all right, check my salvages on this one because I forgot on the last one. So this one is The Cats Are Back in Town on the ivory. Itty bitty birds with, they got little berries in their mouth in some places. It's super cute. And then it's the guinea pigs again, but they're on navy. There we go. Actually, I'm looking at the pile in there. We're not going to finish knot bags, but 4 through 30. But you know, we got a good amount done. And I definitely want to get some knot bags done before the pop-up with Ancient Arts. Again, if you're in the Calgary area, that is going to be July 15th. This is Saturday, the second Saturday of Stampede. Caroline is organizing actually a whole pancake breakfast as well as a vendor market for not just fiber artists, as far as I know. I think it's going to be like a parking lot party with a bunch of the other businesses in that area. So it's going to be a lot of fun. I like doing events during Stampede. Stampede is my favorite, like, hands down my favorite event of the year. And if you didn't tune in earlier or didn't hear my explanation for what Stampede is, it's the like county state fair equivalent for Calgary. But they have a big rodeo and also the chuck wagon races, which is actually my favorite event. Rodeo, I can give or take. As the kids get older, we'll obviously end up going. But the chuck wagon races are my favorite. A lot of the chuck drivers, so it's 4 thoroughbreds that pull a wagon around a track as fast as they can. And a lot of the horses actually that are on the chuck circuit are rescues from the racing industry. So it's good to see that they're back and they are born to run, that's for sure. But that's actually a good point. I will be doing a live stream next week, and then the following week, my husband and I will be going down to the Stampede grounds and actually participating in the event, since that's the first Friday. We're going to take advantage of the kids being in childcare and go down and buy our day tickets and stuff like that, and then actually go to the event with them later after they're out of childcare. But then we can go down and enjoy some time down there ourselves. So I will not be live streaming on July 7th. That's the day. Yeah. I will be back June 30th, so next Friday, and then I will be back on July 14th as well, the day before. So I can actually show you probably that day. What I'll do is I'll be showing off what is completed or will be completed for the Ancient Arts pop-up. Apparently, I will be doing a lot on op bags. And I think actually the other one that I'll target, since I'm low on stock on it right now, is I'll be targeting big bags as well. All right, so these are both going to have that bright blue fabric as a liner because that makes sense to me. And then obviously the Cats Are Back in Town will be on a white. So far, we don't have any beige, which is interesting. All right. Let's take some more of these out. All right, let's do, I know Sherry wants some stuff out of the Myco and the critters. So we'll cut those for sure and add them to her order. And then I really want the frogs because the frogs as a knot bag is going to be spectacular. I don't know why, but frogs on a knot bag. All right. And then I'm going to actually select one of these darker ones so that it gets cut with the lighter so we can see the lines. Or I can see the lines. So I'm going to do the tuxedo cats and that kind of, the one that I waffled about last week of like, should I cut it? Shouldn't I cut it? It looks like Christmas colors. Yeah, I don't know. Just cut the fabric. Why are you waffling? Okay. And there's all those folds lined up, and then we'll just match the selvages. Right there, I think. So where's the tuxedo selvage? There we go. Done. And the Myco selvage needs to be pushed over just a touch. There we go. Good enough. Okay, let's try this guy again and see if I can make it work as well or better. Because the only way to get better is practice. I think I might need to hold it a bit different too. Maybe I need to hold it like, oh yeah, pencil cut might be the best way. Nope, it's too small for that. The one thing I'm worried about with this one more than I am worried about the Olfa and the larger blade is that your finger is far closer to that little itty bitty blade. And it has this kind of sense of like, oh, I'll be fine because it's so small. And it's like, no, it'll cut you bad or worse because you're not expecting it as much. Probably worse because you aren't expecting it. So just be careful. Sharp edges. Also it's pushing the fabric around more. So obviously if I had less layers, that would be better. I do think that this is probably still going to work the best for what the purpose I bought it for, which is cutting the stabilizer for the glasses cases. And then I actually, so technically with the glasses cases, you're supposed to cut out the exterior fabric and the interior fabric. But what I do to speed up my process a little bit is I actually only cut the stabilizer. Then I sew everything at the appropriate stitch length or seam allowance. You okay, Flynn? Anyway, I cut it at the appropriate seam allowance, and then that's what you get for trying to get on the fabric. And then then it's all good to go. It's just easier and better. Yeah, I don't know. It's a clean cut, but if I get my scissors sharpened, the knot bags will be fine with just the shears. So we have the frogs, we have the tuxedo cats in kind of like Christmas colors, macaron cats or critters on the purple, and then the red Myco in Kyoto. So now the frogs will be white, lined in white. This is actually the first beige. And then I think, yeah, we decided with the large box bags that this would be beige. And I think in the case, because with the knot bags, there's no zip closure. So you're going to see all the fabric. We'll put that into beige as well. And then macaron critters is going to be white. And then this is a mess. So chop here. And then I don't use anything from here. Actually, is that wide enough for wristlets? No, it is not. Good, because that means that I can get rid of it without holding on to it. And then there's all my triangle pouches and cake cozies and all of that. All right, so the beige guys should actually go over here. Now, I do have a bunch of fabrics already cut. for interiors in another separate bin that I haven't sorted through yet. And all the exteriors that I had cut were old fabrics. So I think I might just go through and actually pilfer the lining fabrics from that bin and use them in the new bags. And then I'll go back and I'll make the old bags later, because obviously I've already cut them as not bags. I can't use them as anything else because this is an odd cut. But I think that will look better. So I've got this cat signs, bicolor cat, dressed up cats on rose, dusky rose. And then I've got the cats are back in town on teal and dusky rose as well. And then we'll just pop this together. And I'll find a light one to go on top, because 4 layers with the shears is actually fine. It's perfect. Actually, we might finish these in the next half hour or close to. We'll try. Yeah, you're a bit thicker, but that's okay. Okay, now we're running into the fabrics that have been pre-cut. Okay, so we'll just line this up here. Nope, we gotta line it up with, okay, selvage to selvage for this one. There we go. I don't know what I was thinking, but apparently, okay, it works though. Check my selvage, make sure that there's not going to be anything sewn into or that will not be caught in the seam allowance. Like that, that's fine, we're good. Sweet. If anyone has any questions, feel free to ask them in the chat. I'm obviously happy to help, kind of directs my musings instead of just getting my stream of consciousness. Not that I mind, just doing it on the fly. But if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. And if any of you viewers are new, or if you haven't encountered me before, I'm Katie, run Atelier Nekozuki, and I make project bags and bags in general now, and accessories from hand-selected Japanese fabrics. Hand-selected meaning that I actually do go to Japan and source the fabrics from a few shops in Kyoto and Tokyo at this point. Although I have also purchased fabric in Osaka and Hiroshima before as well. I actually used to have a really good shop in Osaka. It was a pneumatic tube shop. It was really cool, but they shut down over the pandemic. So apparently it had been there actually for decades. And I think it was a good opportunity. They kind of went, well, we're done. But I can tell the story about it anyway, because it was super cool. Because you would go in and it was 3 floors of fabric. And then I think what it was the building was tall enough that the 4th and 5th floor, I think, were the cutting floors. So all they had out was they had samples of fabric. Excuse me. And you would go around and you would select your fabric from the samples. And then you would get so what I would do is I would go in and I would shop the fabric first, because there's always lots of selection, obviously. And then I would grab a salesperson and they would actually go around with you. You would tell them what you wanted and how much you wanted. And they would take a clipping, so just a little tiny square of each fabric, and put it one on a sales receipt for you and one on a sales receipt for the cutting floor. And the sales receipt for the cutting floor would go up a pneumatic tube onto the cutting floor, obviously. They would cut it all, and then it would all drop down behind the actual cash register when it was all done. It was a really efficient system. I really liked it. I think it was probably the best system I've seen so far in Japan. Nomura's decent, although I was rewatching some of the fabric selection videos that I took in May. They are coming. I just got to do a voiceover for the Kyoto one. And I realized that I had actually missed some fabrics because the gentleman that I got to help me do the cuts didn't write anything down. And so I'm like sitting here like, damn it, was fabrics that I was supposed to get. And I can see them in the video. I can see that we selected them. and they're not here. He did a really good job, but it's like, dude, just write down the fabrics. So I will remember that next time. I will grab one of the ladies because they write everything down, and then we don't miss fabrics. Because it's already a lot to keep track of it mentally anyway. So yeah, so that's the Nomoda tailor system. You go around with them, and they pick out the fabric for you. Blah blah blah. And then Tokyo, you go around and you select all your fabrics, like Joann's or Fabricland or whatever your like local craft quilt store is typically. And in Tokyo, though, you at least get carts, so you get to like actually put your fabric in carts, which is awesome. It makes it so much easier to cart them around. Haha. Yeah. All right, I'm gonna do the colors. White. This is a dark enough pink that we're gonna do a beige. I think the teal should go beige, and then the bicolor cat is also going to go beige. And then we're going to chuck all the beige ones into the bin directly. Then those will go to the white. Yeah, and in Tokyo, it's like, it's very much like a North American purchasing experience, which is interesting. Besides the fact that it's like 5 floors in Japanese, and there's so much fabric. All right, we've got a few more dark ones, but we got enough light ones to kind of, let's do this one, and we'll do another rotary cut because that's enough layers. I don't want to cut it with the shears. So this time we're going to be cutting macaron critters on the gray. And then we've got the Maiko on blue, Mount Fuji on sand, the citrus on navy, and the citrus on pink as well. And these ones, I pre-cut the actual bag, which I figured out after last week was not the right way to do this. So live and learn, live and remember, because yeah, I haven't cut knot bags in a while. Kind of went really gung-ho before my first was born, and then I haven't had to sew knot bags since. But I'm excited to sew them again because they're going to look really good in some of these new fabrics, in most of these new fabrics. So a lot of these I'm going to actually aim to have completed before I do the live next week. And then what I'll end up doing probably next week is hopefully the sewing for, I think we'll start on the large box bags since I have those cut and ready now. And you may as well watch the process from beginning to end live. I think that would be a nice, personally, that's a nice continuity thing for me. It also makes it easy for me to think of what to do. And then what I'll do is I'll cut the kato and the triangle pouch paraphernalia, so the pockets and the linings and all of that for them, off camera, or like on camera, but not live. Maybe I might do some surprise lives anyway. Sometimes that's the best way to do them, is just I'll pop on. So if you're watching me and you're not subscribed or set to be notified, please do, because then you'll be notified when I actually go live. That would be the easiest way to keep up with this. I do try to actually announce this on social media, so my newsletter and Instagram as well. But the problem that's been happening there is, yeah, this actually works pretty good. The problem that's been happening there is that I've been having tech difficulties in that my iPhone has actually been taking over from my MacBook, and that's not what I want it to do. It's recording basically the second footage right now, and we've been having difficulties with my mic. So if you are subscribed and set to be notified when I go live, you won't miss if I have to end up switching the link. I do try to post that new link to Instagram as well, and I think I've figured out how to do it so that we're not having a phone take over. It will just stay on the laptop. But the difficulty is that last week, for example, I had this difficulty and Instagram didn't let me post the new link. So the best way to keep track of me is to be subscribed. All right, now we're going to use the itty bitty for this interior. Ooh. Interior seam, although that was not on the line. Curses. All right, let's do a second cut there. There we go. That's happier. That needs to be shears. Okay, there's too many layers. All right, we're down to the last few. Okay, so the pink is going to be a white lining. This is going to be that blue lining. This is going to be the white lining. The blue mica will be white, and the gray critters will be white as well. All right, I think we're down to like the last 1 or 2 cuts. So what I will do, we're 10 minutes out. I'll finish up the cuts for the knot bags, and then I will head out just so that I'm all set for when the kids actually are ready to be picked up. Obviously, we still have a little bit of time, but it's just nice to be able to wrap up in enough time for that. And this was actually quite a bit of work today to be able to do interfacing as well as all of the lining for large box bag is pretty good considering the numbers. Over the next week, I will also make sure that I end up cutting, like, I think the focus for the pop-up, because that's 3 weeks from now, will be on knot bags and big bags. And so we will, I'll be cutting a lot of the big bag stuff off of camera or off live as well. Unless, again, like if it's a surprise live, who knows. And then I will be doing, I'll sew them on camera, on live. So now, obviously, if you are unable to join me until afterwards, these are all getting posted as they are on YouTube. So you can hear my whole stream of consciousness ramblings. But if you're able to join me, I am super grateful. I know it's a little bit of an awkward time considering that most people are at work, but I have to do it as it works. As I get better at the technology and figuring out the what we need to do, I will actually try to start streaming on the weekends when my husband is home, because that will mean that he can look after the kids. That's actually why I don't stream on the weekends when he's not home, is because doing it with kids around, I don't want them on camera, part of it, and I also they're loud. So it just doesn't work. Actually, drop in the comments below if like an evening live stream would work, like if I were to get on around, like, say 10 o'clock Mountain Time. Now, obviously, they wouldn't be as long because, as I've said, my energy levels drop significantly. But, you know. So are the pockets, like, for the Kato a plain fabric? Or do you mean, like, are they Japanese fabric? Or what I use for the pockets and the Kato are actually things I've purchased from Canada, from Siltex as well. I'll finish cutting this and then I can actually show you. Just so I'm not like there. That's a good place to stop. That was faster with the rotary cutter. So the previously, but I'm running out of it. I did it actually in Indonesian batiks because they're pretty. And I had these and I didn't know what else I was going to do with them. So there'll be a few that will have Indo batik pockets just to use up the fabric. But then the ones that I've been using have been these guys. So they're another quilt cotton version, but they've got a little bit of like a floral motif on them, I guess would be a best description. So the blue has like those little fleckies. I've also got one that's black, but it needs to be washed because the dye was actually transferring onto the thread last year. So I was like, well, that's not good. So I got to wash all of the black fabric. That's something I should actually do when I do the Japanese fabrics exteriors this year, because I bet you it will run. But otherwise, yeah, it's plain fabric. Again, if anyone wants to like get a hold of me and have it made from like a Japanese exterior fabric, I'm more than happy to help you with that. But given how many decisions I have to make just even for this, having to then also decide what would be a good interior pocket fabric from my Japanese fabrics is it's a lot of decision making that right now is just not within what I want to do. It would also change the cost actually pretty significantly on the bags as well. So it's not something that I would typically offer. Although that would be a good way to do like a pick your own kato of like interior and exterior fabrics. So I might think of that and see if that would be something that people would enjoy. These guys are going to be beige fabrics. And this guy's I'm actually going to do that bright blue fabric in there. So when I'm saying the bright blue fabric, it's going to be this guy. So that'll be a nice contrast for that one. And that's what these guys up here will be as well. Yeah, actually, Andrea, that is a good point. I didn't think of it, but like the pick your own bags, I could actually add an option on to do a Japanese fabric pocket. New thoughts. All right, we're down to the last 3. Very sweet. And obviously, if you want any of these things, feel free to message me. The best way to get a hold of me is actually Instagram, on there consistently enough and get the notifications consistently enough to actually be able to help you on there. But yeah, that would be the best way to get a hold of me. If you don't have my email address, my email is available through the website. There's actually an ask me question box contact form, and that is the second best way to get a hold of me actually. All right, let's cut this one. Sorry, so this one we've got the Lucky Cats on the off-white Dobby, which is the slubby warp and weft texture. Oh, and I just realized it's a good thing I went through and did this. Micro Cat in Forest, it was actually upside down. So we're going to flip that so that it is right side up. And then we've got the sheep on gray with the blue outline. And so that's going to be white. This will be beige. And then the Lucky Cats will be white as well. All right. Lucky Cats go all different directions, so I'm not too worried about them. I'm glad I took a second look at that Micro Cat, though. I would have been so annoyed with myself if I hadn't caught the fact that it's directional. Whatever. That catches all of the selvage for both of you. So let's scoot the Maneki Neko over. There we go. That'll do better. Good. Yeah, like the offcuts for any of these. Maybe if I cut it correctly. Let me 1 second. So let's take this this guy that I just cut from like the knot bags. These are the biggest pieces that I have, like big enough that I have been able to do the triangle pouches from them. But now I'm curious because that would be fun to be able to do like matchy pockets inside the Kato. Oh no, that would get rid of a whole product line though. Yeah, just barely. Just barely you could actually do the pockets from the exterior of the knot bag cuts. So the cuts off of like the actual Kato bags and stuff like that, you wouldn't be able to do that from. But something like this, where we're already making the knot bag and we have enough fabric to make a triangle pouch, you would be able to just eke it out. Oh, dangerous, dangerous, dangerous musings. Yeah, no. Well, that is something to consider. And part of this is that like my hesitation there then is the fact that I wouldn't end up with these products that I've actually made out of the things, but the stuff where it's like extra. So like the wristlets can be made from a lot smaller, but like the cake cozies can't be made from a much smaller cut than this, just in general. And then the other problem is that the Kato have like 2 things of pockets, and this would only make 1. So like there's a few things there, but that would be cute. Oh no, now I've got things to think about, decisions to make. I really like my triangle pouches because they were also, again, they were one of those bags where it's like at the beginning, I could not understand how to put those things together. It was just like my brain hadn't switched to enough to the to how things came together in sewing for 3 dimensions yet. And like it's gotten better recently, thank goodness, because obviously I figured quite a few things out and just skill levels have gotten better. So the triangle pouches have kind of been a coup too, but having a pocket as the exterior fabric match the pocket. Yeah, it would depend on the fabric. So like some of the larger prints where it wouldn't work for a triangle pouch could actually go in as a pocket. Because like stuff like this isn't. I was gonna say this wouldn't work as a pocket, but actually because it's like 2-layer, you could sew it together and just make a nice little slip pocket from it. You could square it off really easily. And then especially for like the luxe tote bags or like the big bags or something like that, you could actually match it. Oh no. Okay, I do like the thought. I think at the beginning here, the first thing we will do is I will add it as an option for the Kato bags, for the pick your own, and then I will figure out how to actually maybe add that into like maybe not with these fabrics that I've already done a lot of the committed cutting because I haven't actually set it aside. But I just said that, and then it's like I have all that leftover fabric for the sheep bags. Oh my goodness, Andrea, you've given me an absolute mind blow thought process now today. It's good. I like it. So that would be a lot of fun. Typically, I do end up doing the plain fabric because I like to have the contrast fabric in the bag. But honestly, having an interior pocket of Japanese fabric, you can't get much more contrast than that. Now, it would still increase the cost because obviously I do take this fabric and make quite a bit of product out of it. So if I'm just taking it and making one piece into a pocket for the bag, it would end up being more expensive. Which sounds ridiculous because it's an offcut, but it's true. But yeah, like those offcuts, because honestly, the appliques take quite a bit of work. And like they're really cute, but being able to make a pocket out of like the Maneki Neko fabric to go into like a big bag or something like that would be a lot of fun. I think that would actually be a better use for it. At least like not all the time again, but like once in a while. All right, we have finished the knot bag cutting, and it is yes, honestly, it is a bonus if it uses all the fabric. So I'm gonna have to actually really measure it. I gotta for some reason I have misplaced the Kato templates, and so I need to, well, not for some reason. They're in the cutting room or the studio somewhere, but who knows where right now. I need to go through and actually recut the actual templates that I use, and that will tell me the best what I could do with it. If like, because if I could do the pocket as well as, I'm just going to pull this one back. Anyway, sorry, we're done the knot bags. So that is a big accomplishment for today. White, beige, and white. And I am going to go through and pilfer the bin for the other knot bags that I've already cut for the interior fabrics, just because then they happen. But it's like, if you make the pocket, I wonder if I would also be able to make the like I'd probably still be able to do the wristlet and stuff like that, because I think this is too tall. Let's just do this right now. Let's see. And then I can think about it this afternoon. No, it is because so the smallest part of it is right here. And that is where you would end up cutting the actual like pocket from. Square it up. The other way to do it that could happen is that could cut it in half and then back it with a plain fabric. And then you'd be able to have fabric. They would then I would just use all of the fabric and it would be easy peasy. Because this is technically 2.5, 3 inches too long for what the pockets are called for. And I do have to stay fairly close to that line, just because otherwise they get too tall for the actual bag and they don't fit correctly, obviously. But now that would be very interesting to do. So like if I were to take this and then we could back it with like, you take your plain fabric and back it, because I already have to sew the pockets, so it's an extra seam. Whoop-de-doo. So your front would end up being this, and your back would end up being the plain fabric. Because part of this is that I also don't want to go single layer. I could bind it, but going single layer would mean that the pockets would be a lot flimsier, and the actual bag structure would be affected quite a bit from that. Because realistically, I could cut it in half and just do a bias binding and like a fold over elastic on the top or something. But I do like the idea of maybe like lining it still so that it's dual layer, because in some ways it's a waste to fold this over and then your pocket is this on both sides. Whereas if you took the actual lining fabric and did it, it would economize it in some ways, and also you would actually be able to use all the fabric up. Oh my goodness. I don't think this has been claimed by anyone for the Kato bag, so I might actually oh no, that is easy math. The hard math is figuring out the cost on it. Although, yes, that's right. I was complaining about math last week. Apparently, it's working better today. I don't know. I swear, those kids have eaten my brain cells, and they might have left me with 2.5 on a good day. Anyway, I do like that idea, though, and now I've really got to think about it and see. I guess we might be seeing some interior pockets. That would be... I'll bounce it off on a couple other people and see what they think too. And if they like, yeah, I'm going to take it to the sounding board and we will see where we go from there. So anyway, it's 3:38. I am done cutting my knot bags and now I've got stuff to contemplate. So I hope you guys all had a fantastic week. I hope you enjoyed the stream. Obviously, if you're watching this later, I hope you enjoy it whenever you watch it. If you want to come see me in person and you're in the area, I will be at Ancient Arts Yarns on July 15th. It's going to be like a parking lot pop-up party, basically. Caroline is organizing pancakes, so it's going to be a pancake breakfast because it's second week of Stampede. It's the second Saturday of Stampede. I haven't gotten my application in yet, but I have been requested to be at Omatsuri, which is the Japanese festival, August 13th, 2023. That's at the Max Bell Center, and so I will be there to the best of my ability. And then the last place that I will be currently, I do have a few things on the roster kind of coming up, but I got to figure out childcare and everything. The last confirmed show currently is Knit City in Vancouver, which is September 22nd to 24th, with the market being the 23rd to 24th. So I hope that some of you can join me at those events. And if not, I will be live again next Friday. I will be skipping July 7th because Dallas and I will be going down to Calgary Stampede ourselves to participate. And then I'll be back to a normal Friday schedule. I will also gratefully take any suggestions if you would like to see a stream at a different time, such as leaning towards it would probably be between 9 and 10 p.m. Mountain Daylight Time, so like 6 hours from now, after the kids go to bed. That would not be very consistent. That would be more of a surprise, especially on the weekends. That's probably when I would aim for that one because it is so late. But yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to DM me on Instagram or comment down below, and I will chat with you all in a week, if not before. I hope you have a fantastic weekend, and I'll see you later. Bye.